Sitting up in shock on my deathbed, I realized that the villain is actually me. From the continuous barrage of comments in front of my eyes, I tried hard to piece together the whole picture of the matter. It turns out that I am actually a cannon fodder omega in a novel, with a spoiled, insidious, and cunning personality, stupid and vicious. I'm extremely annoying. Due to a marriage alliance, I took the place of the other half of the protagonist Alpha Henry, the top-ranked Alpha and Imperial Admiral with illustrious military achievements. During that marriage with Henry, I not only hindered the development of his relationship with the protagonist Omega, but also was bewitched by the enemy and became a spy, attempting to steal secrets and betray Henry. Of course, the result was that I was discovered and my misdeeds were exposed. In the end, I ended up divorced from Henry and exiled to a desolate planet. After divorcing me, Henry's relationship with the protagonist Omega Matteo gradually heated up during their time together, and they finally got together and achieved a happy ending. This is an exciting and eventful story. However, what puzzles me is the bad-tempered Omega they're talking about really me? I was born into a noble family in the Empire. My family members dote on me very much, and I've grown up smoothly since childhood. Although I may have been a bit spoiled and delicate, I'm not that vicious and cunning. Moreover, I have a proper mindset. How could I possibly collude with spies? However, my marriage with Henry was the result of negotiations between the Feng and Luo families. There really isn't a deep-seated relationship between us. In others' eyes, we're well-matched in social status, and our pheromone compatibility has reached a rare 99%. We couldn't be more suitable. Henry is a capable and handsome man. Since I met him, he has always been very gentlemanly and polite to me, so his quietness and cold exterior can be overlooked in my eyes. I've always thought it was quite good to marry him, but judging from these strange comments at present, isn't the one truly suitable for him me? I quietly lay back down, feeling a bit lost. The words that just appeared in front of my eyes disrupted my mood. Moreover, knowing that Henry wasn't asleep, I made a strange move out of panic. Henry must think I'm being inexplicable right now, right? Meanwhile, the Danmu was in a complete mess. Don't even think about laying a hand on the general. He belongs to Matteo. I can't believe it. How could he steal a kiss from someone else? A shameless, scheming Omega indeed. Still, the general is his legal husband now. I stared closely at those scrolling subtitles, trying to figure out where they came from and what was going on. After observing for a while, I found nothing, so I blanked my mind and couldn't help but shift around on the bed. The person beside me suddenly moved, turning over to face me. In the darkness, I felt a gaze landing on me. Soon the room lit up. "Can't sleep?" Henry asked, his clear voice pausing slightly before he added a name. Lucas. Perhaps because it wasn't something he did often, it sounded a bit stiff. A little. I gripped the edge of the blanket, feeling strangely tense. I swallowed uncomfortably and said, "I'd like some water." "Wait a moment." Henry lowered his head and operated on the optical brain. Soon Benjamin slid in. He's our family's robot butler, and he's very smart. Henry reached out with his long arm, took the cup from me before I could, and handed it over. "Thank you, Admiral." I held the cup carefully and took a big gulp until the thirst finally faded away. I handed the empty cup to Benjamin. Then I noticed that Henry seemed to be looking at me all the time. Then he spoke up. "Do you plan to keep calling me that?" I froze. "What?" Henry looked down, his tone calm. "We're married now. Calling me General doesn't quite seem appropriate." That was true. I said licked my moistened lips, and tentatively asked, "Husband?" Henry's pupils contracted slightly. He swallowed hard, his voice low. "Yes, go to sleep." When I woke up the next morning and went downstairs, breakfast was already ready on the table. Henry was waiting for me, thinking about how I had lingered in bed just a moment ago. I hurried over and took my seat. I felt a bit embarrassed. "Sorry, you don't need to wait for me next time." "No need to apologize," Henry said. "It's just that I wanted to have breakfast with you." We ate in silence for a while, and then the scrolling comments appeared again. Such good acting, pretending to be so obedient and hardworking now, but still ending up facing court-martial by the general. Can't wait for the scene where the general kicks him out. What? On what grounds is the general treating him so well now? No way, your real partner isn't this useless Omega. It's normal. The general is currently misled by this scheming Omega's performance. He's naturally a well-mannered gentleman anyway. Just wait until Lucas's false mask is exposed. When will baby Matteo appear? Turns out that last night was not a dream or a fantasy of mine. I can really see these inexplicable Donmu that come from nowhere, and they pop up at random times. I can't figure it out for the time being, but what I'm sure of in my heart is I won't let them affect my life. Judging from the harsh words they hurled at me, it was clear these weren't anything good, so what they said naturally couldn't be trusted. Whether it concerned my marriage with Henry or the potential beta Matteo and spies they mentioned, I had to make my own judgments. I have to make my own judgments. After breakfast, Henry offered to drive me to work. We have the same working hours. He goes to the military headquarters while I head to the research institute. I initially wondered if it would be too much trouble for him, but then I remembered we're married and their routes roughly align anyway. And besides, I don't enjoy piloting flying vehicles at all, so I happily agreed. Today, Henry is still wearing a neat military uniform. The custom-made uniform was perfectly pressed, with straight shoulder lines and a tightly fitted waist. Wearing it made him look like a drawn blade, sharp and imposing. He looked very handsome, matching my expectations for his appearance perfectly. Henry parked his aircraft at the institute and surprisingly got out with me. He walked me to the main gate. Colleagues who came to work recognized him and kept stopping to greet us. Henry nodded to respond one by one. After work, I'll come pick you up, he said. If anything comes up, feel free to contact me on the brain net at any time. Since he was considerably taller than me, I tilted my head back to look at him and replied, "Okay." After a moment of silence, seeing that he still hadn't left, I was about to open my mouth to ask. He added in a calm tone, "You can also reach out if you need anything." I blinked in surprise. There seemed to be a hint of tenderness hidden in those deep, calm dark eyes. I curled my lips into a smile. "Yeah, you too." After saying goodbye to Henry, I headed into the institute. Inside the studio, my coworker Sebastian was looking at me with a suggestive smile. Seeing me approach, he pulled me close and asked excitedly, "You and the general have a great relationship?" I replied, "It's fine." The next moment, Sebastian lowered his voice and asked slyly, "How was the wedding night? Was he really intense?" "Sebastian," I started to call out in embarrassment, but realized my volume was too loud. I quickly lowered it and said, "Stop talking nonsense. Get back to work. The workload is pretty heavy today. You're blushing so much, Lucas." So he really was intense after all? Sebastian kept talking to himself, but I ignored him and sat back down at my desk. Actually, Henry and I haven't reached that final step yet. It was mainly because I was so nervous on our wedding night that my body just wouldn't stop shaking. Henry was understanding and said there was no rush. We could take our time to build our connection, waiting until I felt completely ready. So that night, feeling anxious, I found myself wrapped in his arms. My face flushed as I rested against his chest and fell into a deep sleep. The warmth from the large hand resting on my back for comfort was incredibly reassuring. My face, which had grown warm due to Sebastian's teasing, gradually cooled down. I patted my own cheeks and devoted myself seriously to my work. My main job is to work with the team to design, test, and optimize various advanced weapon systems, such as laser weapons, plasma weapons, and railguns. Additionally, we are responsible for developing and improving the military's defense technologies. So I'm not, like what they say, totally useless. After work, Henry arrived at the research institute right on time to pick me up. The flying vehicle moved smoothly. I looked out the window and suddenly craved something from that shop. So I turned to Henry, honey, I kinda wanna go shopping at the mall." I pressed my lips together and asked, "Could you keep me company?" "Of course." He said that and immediately changed direction. This was the largest commercial district on Capital Star, with quite a bit of foot traffic. As the well-known Imperial General, Henry was naturally recognized quickly, drawing frequent glances from the crowd. My goal was clear. I wanted to go to Stardust shop and buy some candy. So as we walked, I thought about what styles I might want to get later, wondering if they had released any new items. Suddenly, a warm sensation of being enveloped came to my palm. It was Henry who took my hand. I held his hand in return, and we stood so close that our arms brushed against each other. But those comments popped up again at the worst possible moment. "Wait, seriously? Who actually wants to watch the main character and the extra being all romantic anyway? Henry, what were you thinking? You're holding hands with him? Why are you being so kind to this cannon fodder Omega? No, General. Please don't lose control to your instincts. Don't worry, everyone. Just hang in there. Once Matteo arrives, he'll realize who his true match is. Lucas, get lost. Stay away from our general. You have no shame. Two-faced green tea vixen. He only relies on his looks. I had tried before, but I couldn't communicate with them, so I swallowed my rebuttals back down. Forget it. People who casually speculate about others with malice must be having a tough time in real life. After picking up some candy and wandering around the mall, Henry and I finally made our way back home. That night, I lay on the edge of the bed, playing with my optical brain and reading the news and entertainment gossip. Henry, having finished a voice call, walked over. Lucas, he said, the media wants to publish our photo together. Do you mind? I looked up and asked, what photo? Henry held his datapad closer, and the large headline on the screen caught my eye. General Henry makes public appearance with his partner after marriage. Loving couple shown together, sweet interactions spark discussion. Although the title is a bit of an exaggeration, but I don't mind. I blinked and asked him before he could respond. Do you, hubby? Henry's eyes flickered. I don't mind either. He opened the photo album and let me pick one out. In this era, it's illegal for media to publish other people's photos without permission, especially since Henry has a sensitive status. He needs the person's consent and review. I took a look. I wasn't sure which media outlet it was, but the photos were actually pretty good, so I picked them with great interest. Manner, expression, movement, angle, light, none of them can be missing. Once I'd picked them, I showed the photos to Henry. How are these? Henry said, lowering his gaze. They look good. Then I saw him move his finger to save all the group photos and turn off the optical brain. It's getting late. Let's get some rest. Okay. I also put down the optical brain, obediently lay down and got into the quilt. The whole place felt warm and cozy, especially on the side where Henry was. I soon felt drowsy. In my days, I saw Henry turn from his back onto his side to face me. He gently reached out and pulled me into his arms. I barely managed to lift my eyelids to look at him. A low voice, slightly hoarse, sounded close by. Is this okay? Lucas, actually, I'm not quite sure what he means, but looking at the man's handsome face so close, I still mumbled yes in a sticky voice. Soon, Henry leaned in and pressed a soft kiss to my forehead. The force was very light, like a dragonfly skimming the water, and he didn't linger for long. Slowly moving downward, he kissed his way across my eyelids, the tip of my nose, and my cheeks, covering every spot. I felt a little ticklish from his kisses and subconsciously wanted to dodge backward. Then, in the next moment, I felt Henry press his lips against mine. My heart raced, and my hands suddenly clenched the fabric in my palms. He didn't go further, just keeping his lips pressed against mine. It felt like warm light filtering through mist, bringing a slight tremor. Suddenly, I smelled a rich, mellow, yet slightly bitter and sweet scent in my breath. It was Henry's scent. My heart fluttered intensely, and almost simultaneously, my own scent began to escape uncontrollably. The sweet and pure fruit fragrance soon spread in the air. The aroma of white peaches intertwined with that of dark chocolate. After a moment, Henry pulled back, and both of them were breathing a bit faster. I only then realized I was clutching his sleepwear, so I quickly let go, my face turning red. The scent of the pheromones didn't fade. Instead, it grew even stronger. Henry's palm on my back was so hot that it was burning. Suddenly, Henry let go of me, suddenly lifted the corner of the quilt and got out of bed. I instinctively reached out to grab his hand and asked, "Where are you going?" "I'll sleep in the next room tonight." Henry's voice was rough. "Sorry, Lucas. Rest up for now." My fingers curled slightly as I buried my flushed face under the blanket and whispered, "It's fine." Henry turned his head away without looking at me. "We have work tomorrow. Be good and go to sleep." "Okay." I silently let go of his hand and didn't try to keep him anymore. I had accidentally caught a glimpse of his size, which was so impressive it made me feel intimidated. Turns out I wasn't ready at all. Henry left. I lay alone on the large bed, waiting for the heat on my face and body to cool down. However, Henry's scent still lingered in the room. disturbing my thoughts. Then, those annoying comments popped up again. They already kissed. Henry, how could you kiss a cannon fodder? Baby Matteo, if you don't show up soon, your husband is going to be completely taken away by this little siren. Dangerous omegas always try to seduce others. Unlike before when they were in agreement, these bullet comments seem to be starting to have differences. I was lost in thought, and before I knew it, I had already fallen asleep. After that almost out-of-control night, for the next few days, Henry didn't dare to do anything more. Even when sharing the same bed, he kept a few centimeters farther away from me than usual. I saw it and felt a bit helpless and a bit disappointed. One time I asked him, "Honey, why aren't you cuddling me anymore?" As I was speaking, a wave of grievance suddenly rose in my heart. "Is it because you don't like my scent?" As soon as the words left my mouth, I was hugged tightly by him. He hugged me very tightly. His voice, held back and low, whispered by his ear, "Of course not. Lucas smells wonderful, and I really like it. Baby, honestly, my self-control might not be as strong as you think," he said. "It's just that we've both been busy lately, and you weren't ready either, right?" Indeed, we were busy. I have an important project underway, and Henry's military department recently conducted a few investigations. Internal cleanup is in progress. That's also the reason we haven't taken our honeymoon yet. We plan to take it after this busy period when we've chosen a honeymoon destination. I quickly understood this, but I pulled away from his arms, staring at him with wide eyes as I looked closely. "Fine, but you're my alpha. If you stay too far away for too long, I'll start overthinking it and feel sad." The ending note of my voice dropped dejectedly. Henry quickly realized his mistake. "I'm sorry, Lucas. It's my fault." He kissed my cheek. It was good that the misunderstanding was finally cleared up, and I felt at ease. The only thing was that, in the middle of the night, Henry went to the bathroom for a cold shower. I felt a bit guilty. After that, we enjoyed a period of peace and stability. Henry continued to treat me well, almost to the point of being completely obedient. Just like ordinary couples, we get along harmoniously and happily. That made me even more convinced that what they said about Henry dumping me for Matteo and turning me over to the military court was just baseless rumor. But on this day, during work, the barrage that had been calm for a long time suddenly became turbulent. Wow. Here he comes. Congratulations on Matteo's grand entrance. Yes. The first meeting between the general and Matteo. Looking forward to seeing the spark between them. A capable and kind-hearted beta like Matteo is truly Henry's perfect match. An alpha-beta romance. Matteo has appeared. I can already imagine Lucas going crazy with his antics later. Why does Henry's reaction to meeting Matteo seem a bit too calm? Matteo? I've been seeing that name pop up in the comments a lot, so I got a little curious myself. I'm not suspicious of what Henry will do when he sees him, but at this moment, I still can't help but feel a little depressed. So during lunchtime, I sent a message to Henry. "Husband, are you busy?" Less than a minute after I sent the message, he called me on video. I answered, and Henry's holographic projection appeared in front of me. I adjusted the size and position of the projection, then heard him ask, "Is there something you need, Lucas?" "No." I took a sip of water and said, "I just missed you." The naturally stern look in Henry's eyes softened considerably. "I miss you too." I rolled my eyes slightly and asked as if casually, "What did you get up to today?" "I had a military committee meeting in the morning, then went to the Empire's first military academy for a strategic speech." Henry told me everything, almost in great detail. I listened carefully, nodding from time to time. "By the way," Henry said, "the military has transferred a new colonel to serve as the chief of staff for Night Legion. Henry is the supreme commander of Night Legion, leading the Legion to victory in countless battles of all sizes." A thought crossed my mind, and I asked, "Who is it?" "His name is Matteo. He's a beta." Henry's tone was calm, and his expression showed no signs of anything unusual. Oh, I nodded. "How do you feel about him?" "Henry, I've seen his resume. It's fine." "What did Lucas eat today?" The topic was quickly dropped, and we continued to chat casually. Henry arrived at the research institute on time as usual to pick me up and take me home. I waited for him at the door a few minutes earlier than usual. Seeing him, I jogged over and threw myself into his arms. The alpha caught me steadily. I stood on my tiptoes, wrapped my arms around his neck, and softly called out, "Husband, you're being so affectionate today, baby." As Henry spoke, he wrapped both hands around my waist and held me tightly. He lowered his head, pressing his lips against my earlobe and cheek in a series of gentle kisses. We lingered with each other for a while before boarding the hovercraft to go home. Well, I have to admit, I was actually a bit upset. When so many people try to pair up your partner with others and make things up, it's hard not to feel angry about that, no matter who you are. Henry is clearly my husband. My husband, my husband. We got home quickly. I stepped inside first, and Benjamin was standing in the entryway, giving a welcome home gesture. I smiled and greeted him. Suddenly, a burning body pressed against my back. I turned around in confusion, not even having time to speak. Henry leaned in slightly and kissed my lips. Unlike before, when it was just a brief peck, the alpha placed a hand on the back of my head to deepen the kiss. His tongue brushed against mine, and the temperature between us suddenly rose. I parted my lips slightly to respond to his exploration. A tender and lingering moment filled with subtle warmth and moisture. In that dizzying moment, the scents of both pheromones quietly emerged. The mellow and fresh scents intertwined and entangled. I reached out and wrapped my arms around his neck, feeling all my strength suddenly drain away. Felt like the kiss went on forever. When our lips finally parted, I would have collapsed if it weren't for his hand supporting me around my waist. My eyes grew misty, and Henry's face looked incredibly gentle to me at that moment. "Husband," ashamed, I blurted out, "Will you bite me?" Henry had given me a temporary mark when we got married, but after all this time, it had faded almost completely. His breath hitched, and his eyes suddenly reddened with emotion. The world seemed to spin as he swept me up into his arms. Soon, I sank into the soft bed. I obediently lay on my stomach and rested my head on the pillow. Without any defense, I exposed my nape. The hot breath on the back of my neck made me shrink away, and I clenched my hands into the bedsheets. "Such a good boy, baby," Henry said, his voice as hoarse as the rubbing of gravel. His teeth gently grazed the gland, sending a wave of tingling sensation rushing through my entire body. I closed my eyes impatiently. The next moment, his canines pierced the gland, releasing the pheromones. My whole body trembled uncontrollably, wrapped and soothed by the intense scent of dark chocolate. My body went completely limp, but my heart was filled with unprecedented satisfaction. After the temporary marking was completed, Henry hugged me into his arms and gently kissed me. I didn't have much strength left, leaning against him with my eyes half closed, still stubbornly asking, "Honey, do you like me?" He gently bit my earlobe. His deep, magnetic voice resonated right in my heart. "Of course I like you. You're the one I love most, Lucas." I felt satisfied. The day I first met Matteo was actually an ordinary day. My team and I had to head over to the Night Legion's base for work, just touring around and getting the systems all set up. Matteo was really good looking, with a tall, lean frame. Even though he was just a beta, his presence didn't give an ounce of ground to any ordinary alpha. He even made the first move to say hi, extending his hand toward me. "Hello, Dr. Luo." The barrage was in a complete mess. Matteo is such a sweet guy. He doesn't know Lucas's true colors yet, so he's being so polite. I'm looking forward to seeing Matteo give that scheming Omega a good slap in the face. The rivals have met. Lucas is definitely going to start causing trouble now. He's been pretending for so long, but after seeing Matteo, this Omega probably won't be able to keep up the act. The cannon fodder should log off immediately. I can't stand it anymore. Why do you keep cursing at Lucas? What a bunch of stupid fools with no judgment. What are some people thinking? The General and Lucas's relationship is still fine right now. Do they want Matteo to be the third party? I can't take it anymore. I'm sympathizing with Lucas more and more. I declare that I've started to like him now. Lucas was stunned. He must deliberately ignore Matteo to make him embarrassed. This Omega is too vicious. I reached out and held his hand. "Hello." I was considering how to address him. After all, I should not know him at present. Soon, he took the initiative to introduce himself. "I'm Matteo, currently the Chief of Staff for the Night Legion." "Chief Jiang," I asked tentatively while looking into his eyes that seemed to carry a strange smile. "Do you know me?" He nodded with a smile. "Naturally, Doctor." Luo's many scientific achievements are truly admirable. Besides, you are the partner of the general. Why does this feel a bit angsty? Matteo and the general were clearly made for each other. Poor baby Matteo, having to be polite when dealing with that scheming extra. It's so pitiful for baby Matteo. I really want to skip ahead and see you and the general together. I'm saying, do you guys in the front have too much inner drama? Matteo is just talking normally. Both sides seem pretty friendly. I don't get why you're all barking like dogs. Just look at the way Matteo looks at Lucas. It doesn't really seem like he dislikes him. I see. I returned a polite smile. Just as I was about to say something else, rhythmic footsteps sounded behind me. It was Henry arriving. His gaze fell on me, and he called out naturally, "Lucas, old." It had become a reflex. Realizing the current situation, I quickly corrected myself, "Admiral." His lips pressed together slightly, looking somewhat displeased. The accompanying colleagues also greeted him, and Henry nodded in response. Normally, an admiral wouldn't need to personally accompany visitors on a tour like this, but Henry offered to accompany us. Sebastian grinned mischievously and leaned close to my ear. "Well, I'm really benefiting from your connections this time." Henry, who had been walking ahead of us, suddenly stopped and then casually made his way over to stand by my side. Walking shoulder to shoulder with me, his fingers subtly brushed against mine, and I quickly pulled back, giving him a light glare. There are so many people watching. We shouldn't be too reckless while on duty. Only then did Henry lower his eyes and withdraw his hand. From start to finish, his attention was entirely on me. It turns out there are still sensible people. The comments disappeared, and I came back to my senses. Only then did I realize that Henry had openly taken my hand. Anyway, everyone here already knows about our relationship, and this isn't exactly a formal occasion. After thinking about it for a few seconds, I decided to just keep holding on. Not long after, the group arrived at the mecha hangar. Since we had both participated in the design and development of most of the mechas here, the director asked us each to conduct a routine inspection and data recording for one unit. I secretly blinked at him, making a please expression. The director caught on and said, "Lucas, you take care of General Feng's unit." I nodded seriously. "Got it." Then I turned to look at Henry excitedly. He was clearly ready and led me over to his mecha. The mecha was named Shadow, sleek and dark with a minimalist design. Its shell gleamed with a cold metallic sheen under the light, its sharp lines exuding power, while faint crimson energy patterns pulsed within the joints. Like a titan rising from the abyss, it radiated an invisible sense of pressure. Coincidentally, I had been involved in Shadow's design, but this was the first time I had been this close to it. Henry skillfully swung himself onto the mech and quickly pulled me inside. The hatch closed, isolating everything outside. I curiously sized up the internal space. Henry ordered, "Shadow, pull up the data." The system's default electronic voice responded, "Received." After copying the data, I started debugging various functions. Henry's mech was unexpectedly obedient, and I carried out the work very smoothly. I completed the task soon. "Alright," I turned to look at Henry. "Everything's fine. The mech stats and functions are all normal." Thanks, Lucas." Henry in the pilot's seat leaned over, wrapping an arm around my waist and pulling me into his embrace. He asked with feigned innocence, "Lucas, why didn't you call me hubby just now? That wouldn't have been appropriate in such a setting." I tilted my head up and kissed the corner of his mouth. "Is it okay to call me that now, husband?" Henry's gaze darkened, as if he were holding back something. Seeing that he didn't respond, I said, "Husband. Why aren't you answering me? Husband. Husband." Hus. My lips were blocked, and I couldn't speak. At the same time, Henry unbuckled his seatbelt and wrapped his large hand around my waist, lifting me up and placing me down. I straddled his lap with ease. They kissed passionately. The temperature inside the mech rose sharply. I was worried that if it got too intense and the pheromones became too strong, they might leak out. If people found out what we were doing in the mecha, they'd definitely suspect something. It would be so embarrassing. I stopped the kiss in time and leaned against Alpha, resting my head on his shoulder to catch my breath and calm myself down. Henry's lips moved back to my gland, gently rubbing against it with his mouth. Felt both ticklish and tingly. "Stop kissing me," I complained. "It's so itchy. If we get caught later, all the blame will be on you." Whatever you say, baby." Henry answered in a hoarse voice, but then gave my gland a light bite before pulling away. We held each other close, waiting for the pheromone concentration inside the mecha to decrease. The comments section lit up again. Shameless Lucas. He really knows how to work his charm. What? Is this plotline even normal? What are we supposed to do with Matteo? This is completely wrong. This isn't how the original story goes. So you just realized? I thought none of you used your brains when reading. It's actually pretty sweet. The couple is really happy. Little O knows exactly how to flirt. Look at the way he has the general all worked up. Finally, mutual pampering. I love it. Let's watch more. I hereby declare my support for Fengyu. Some people are so frustratingly flip-flopping. I don't get what's so appealing about A/O relationships driven by pheromones anyway. Try giving unsolicited advice on others' preferences again. See if I don't slap you. That couple is already expecting a child, and you're still living in denial here. Stepping out of the mecha, I felt my face was still burning hot. With this mission complete, we said goodbye to Henry and the others as we headed back to the research institute. On the way back, Sebastian suddenly asked, "What were you and the Admiral doing in the mech?" Huh? I looked away nervously. Just work. Sebastian added, you smell like your husband. I really hadn't noticed it myself. I turned to another colleague and asked, "Is that true?" He nodded silently. I covered my face in despair. Yet, to my dismay, Sebastian leaned in close and whispered, "Pretty thrilling, Lucas. Still, it's understandable. Newlyweds can be pretty passionate. Just stop." At this moment, I really wanted to go up and cover his mouth. That same day, Matteo even took the initiative to add my contact info, saying he might have some technical questions for me. Over the next while, he did indeed ask me a few questions on his own. Matteo is polite to others, and he always knows where to draw the line in his words and deeds, which won't make people dislike him. He's pretty decent. That's my conclusion. I think it's not bad to make friends with such a person. Henry is still treating me so well, and our marital relationship remains stable. Now I'm completely sure those comments were just nonsense. My husband and I are doing great together, and I'd never do something as foolish as going undercover. It's surprising to see that there are even more people supporting Henry and me now. While secretly praising them for their good taste, I enjoyed watching them debate with the trolls. It was quite entertaining. However, there's one thing that the bullet comments actually played a real role in. Just as my shift was about to end, a new employee who had been with the institute for less than 3 months stopped me, saying he needed to consult me on some work-related matters. I'm not his direct supervisor. Just when I thought it was a bit strange, I saw the bullet comments scrolling by very fast. They said that he was a spy from an enemy country and that I would definitely be turned by him later and betray my country and Henry. I quietly noted down the person's information, sticking to the principle of better safe than sorry. That night after I got home, I told Henry about it and asked him to look into this guy. Henry agreed without a second thought, not even asking me why. I can't believe it. The plot has gone so off the rails. After finishing that, as I leaned comfortably against Henry to play games, he brought up another matter with me. He's going on a mission in 3 days. There are interstellar pirates operating on the planet Katma in the Y system. They've been acting recklessly and even hijacked a military starship. Henry is going to lead the Night Legion to conduct a siege. My heart sank at the news. How long will it take? It's not certain yet. If things go quickly, maybe 3 to 5 days. This is the first time he's going out to fight on the front line since our marriage. Although I know that for someone of his status, this is a perfectly normal thing and it'll happen often in the future. But I couldn't help but feel worried. Make sure you stay safe, alright? Henry put his arm around my shoulder. Why isn't Lucas happy? I leaned into his embrace. Because I'll miss you, or if you get hurt, ugh. I've noticed a habit of Henry's. Sometimes he'll suddenly kiss me fiercely before I even finish speaking, and he'd kiss me for a long time. After the kiss, he buried his face in my neck and whispered, "When this mission is over, I'll apply for marriage leave. We'll make up for our honeymoon." I smiled with my eyes crinkling. Okay, I had just been looking at a lot of planets with beautiful scenery and pleasant climates lately, planning to pick a few as our honeymoon destinations. Henry was warm all over, and I couldn't help but shift my body slightly, but I accidentally felt his heated form pressing against me. Henry got up silently and was about to go to the bathroom again. quickly grabbed his arm. Honey, don't go. My hand slowly moved down. I blushed and mumbled, there are other ways to handle this. Afterward, I lay sleepily in Henry's arms, not wanting to move. My hands and legs felt a bit sore, and Henry gently massaged them for me with just the right amount of pressure. I soon dozed off. On the day Henry was heading to Star, I still couldn't help but ramble on and on at him, telling him to be safe, stay in touch whenever he could. The tall man listened quietly and responded one by one. Then he leaned down, gently kissing my lips. I'll miss you a lot, Lucas baby. I gave him one last hug. I missed him on the first day Henry was gone. I missed him on the second day too. Before we were married, I had been sleeping in my own room for years. Now lying alone on the huge empty bed felt so unfamiliar and left me with a heavy heart. In the past, Henry would be pressing his chest against my back right now. I sighed with a sense of melancholy. Fortunately, Henry had contacted me. The battle situation shouldn't be very tense and they could handle it. After all, he is the well-known god of war in the Empire. Henry was gone for 5 days. I actually found out about their return from Matteo. He hinted at me and vaguely mentioned that Henry was not in a good condition. Thinking that he hadn't contacted me since yesterday morning, my heart instantly rose to my throat. In my panic, the comments appeared. Henry's cycle is starting. He's taken several suppressor shots, but they're not doing much good. He must be holding it in. There's someone at home who cares for him so much. Why did he keep taking those injections before? Top alphas during their cycle are terrifying. No one can get close. Just before the screen went black, he was probably looking at Lucas's photo. Hurry up, you damn shuttle. Surely they'll make their move this time. Please don't let anything go wrong. I'm pacing back and forth outside, so anxious. Matteo is on the shuttle too, isn't he? Who still remembers that he's the main character? Hey, you crazy person. Do you have any sense of right and wrong? I really want to slap you. Looking for a scolding. Is there only one seat left at the family dinner? Turned out he was in his rut. Judging by what they said, the suppressants aren't really effective on Henry anymore. If he didn't get comfort from an Omega for a long time, wouldn't that be incredibly painful? I was anxious, but there was no way I could go to him directly right now. All I could do was wait. Fortunately, the military sent me a message not long after, briefly explaining the situation and stating that they would bring Henry home. Finally, I saw Henry. Henry's dense pheromones overwhelmed me. Before I could even say a word, he hugged me tightly. He hugged me more tightly than ever before, as if he wanted to blend me into his body. His body was burning hot, his breath warm against my ear as he whispered softly, "Lucas, baby, I've missed you so much." The space was filled with a mellow fragrance mixed with a hint of bitterness. The back of my neck started to burn, and the scent of white peach spread out in an instant. I couldn't believe I was also drawn into that intense state. The two of us embraced and kissed passionately. I could barely remember how we ended up in the bedroom. Our clothes were scattered all over the floor. The soft flesh on my nape was bitten and nibbled. I couldn't stop trembling, yet I still tried my best to accept Henry completely. Our touching skin felt like sparks had flown off, making the whole body burn hot. The two scents merged completely. Henry's cycle lasted a full 4 days, and mine was the same. Over those few days, we tried almost every suitable spot in the house until everything was left in disarray. During his cycle, Henry completely turned into a clingy beast, his love and possessiveness unmasked in his eyes, which was quite startling. The most frequent thing he did was press against me while whispering sweet nothings by my ear. "I love you so much, Lucas baby. Baby, why are you so good and cute? The luckiest thing in my life is marrying you." I had never seen Henry talk this much before. He gently licked away the tears of pleasure that spilled onto my eyelashes, and just wouldn't stop talking. "You look so beautiful when you cry, baby. I like seeing you like this. I've actually wanted to play rough with Lucas for a long time, but I was afraid of hurting you. Sorry, baby. You won't blame me, right? I just love you too much. You are my Omega alone. Such a wonderful Lucas is mine, and I am so happy." I was so stimulated that I stretched my neck, and my pupils couldn't focus at all. My body was extremely tired. Once his alpha rut was over, I collapsed onto the bed, barely able to move. Henry let me feed on nutrient solution to replenish my energy. My body was tired, but I was quite satisfied in my heart. Being close with someone I love feels wonderful. My hands were so sore I couldn't even lift them, and I nestled into Henry's arms, unable to help but complain. "Husband, please don't make us go on for so long next time. I'm exhausted. My fault." Henry immediately apologized. "I'll be more mindful next time, baby." I grunted twice. The comments that had been missing for a few days suddenly appeared, scrolling frantically fast enough to blur my vision. Oh ho ho. Right after the deed, truly a top-tier alpha, leaving the little Omega completely exhausted. So intense. No suspense left here. Phone you 4%, locked in tight. Even if I have to stretch it, can't we really see more of their intimate moments? I'd pay any amount of star credits for that. The immersive media tech has one flaw. The screen goes black right at those crucial moments. You two should live happily. Please, keep being incredibly sweet. A percent match between an alpha and omega is just amazing. Indeed, imagining that kind of scenario is just incredibly thrilling. After resting for 2 days, I gradually recovered. Then I planned the itinerary for the honeymoon trip with Henry. The person Henry looked into did have some shady dealings, and he's already behind bars. Our joint leave for the honeymoon got approved, giving us a full month off. It's enough time to have a good rest and have fun. Before we set off, Matteo asked to meet me. Now that we're much closer, I'd say we're friends. Actually, I came to say goodbye. Hearing this news, I was quite surprised. "Ah, you're leaving?" "Yeah." Matteo nodded calmly. "The capital star isn't really suited for me after all. I've decided to go to a more remote star system and have already submitted my transfer request to my superiors." I blinked, speechless for a while. "As long as you've thought it through, that's fine. Thanks for your generous advice before, Dr. Luo," he said, "wishing you and the Admiral a long and happy life together." Pausing for a moment, he suddenly smiled. "You two have great chemistry. It'll definitely work out." Matteo is currently single, and his behavior doesn't seem to match what some commenters say about him liking Henry. I got a bit curious. "What about you? Have you considered finding someone? What type do you like?" "Well," he smiled with an ambiguous expression. "I hope my partner is an omega as outstanding and lovely as you." I nodded in understanding. "Oh, I see. LMAO, did you hear that? Matteo is the top. Matteo is good. Lucas is good. Henry is good. Only those idiots who cursed everyone without knowing the facts are purely bad." Shocking news! Someone dug it up. The original author Sophia wrote the beginning of this novel but put it on hold due to other matters. When she recently resumed writing, she found out someone had continued her story without saying a word. Oh, totally. They didn't even get permission, and they changed all of Sophia's settings. She wanted to write a sweet romance about marriage first and love later, but that person turned Lucas into a vicious cannon fodder character. So absurd. People who read the unauthorized sequel actually had the nerve to come here and start cursing others out. Lucas really suffered for this. What happened to those people who used to curse Lucas? Come out and face the criticism. Now that they know it's wrong, they're just playing dead and staying silent? You can't expect someone like this to admit their mistakes. They're probably just frustrated losers taking out their real-life misery on others. Wait, but isn't the plot Sophia is continuing now different from what we've seen before? The universe is full of mysteries. How can you be sure that the world came into existence because the author wrote it, rather than them existing first? Matteo had to leave early for something, because it wasn't yet the time Henry had agreed to pick me up. I decided to sit by myself for a while longer, but soon, I spotted that familiar figure outside the shop. Henry showed up, so I got to my feet and ran toward him without a second thought. "Honey." Henry caught me steadily and naturally pulled me into his arms. "You're here already? I missed our Lucas," he said. "Couldn't wait another second." "I miss you too." It was still early, so we weren't in a hurry to go home. We took a stroll hand in hand down an empty street. I chattered on to him about our honeymoon plans. "So we'll take the space cruise ship to Casno first. I heard there's a super beautiful sea of stars over there, and I really want to go on that asteroid belt exploration trip too." Henry tilted his head slightly and kept his eyes on me all the time. His eyes were filled with an extreme tenderness, brimming with endless affection and doting love.